Welcome to part 2 of our tutorial to download images from the network with Flutter 2.2. We're going to be using Dart 2.13, which is null safety by default. Create a brand new project for the Windows desktop platform. We're going to call our new project Image Download Tutorial. Once the new project is created, we're going to use 3 different Flutter packages to add some additional functionality. Path Provider will allow us to get the Windows Documents folder. From there, we can grab the Windows Pictures folder to store the images into. We're also going to use the HTTP package to make a network request with HTTP to get the images with HTTP GET. The HTTP package can also handle POST requests in addition to GET requests. To manage the state of our new Flutter application, we'll use Provider. This will allow us to pass the variables between the different sections of our application. We'll primarily use Provider to provide us with status updates on how the download is going from over the network. To help us focus on a few basic learning concepts, delete everything beneath the Material app. This will help us to identify the handful of widgets that we'll be working with. Within the Material app, create the base scaffold widget. We'll leave the scaffold blank for now because we're going to extract the scaffold into a separate file called home screen in order to make our app easier to manage. Breaking the app into separate files allows us to focus on those components in the file that we want to learn more about. We're going to group our larger GUI components such as a screen or a window. A window would be a section of our screen into a new folder called GUI sections. The first screen we'll create is the home screen. In the new file, home_screen.dart, create a stateless widget and drop the scaffold in there. Call the class home screen and then import the necessary material.dart file to get the Flutter component. Within the scaffold on the home screen, we're going to place a column and place a few text widgets within the column so we get the placement of how the home screen will look like. In the previous video, there was a mock-up of our app, and it's a simple app with just 2 sections, one at the top and one at the bottom. The buttons will be on the top, and on the bottom will be the response screen. The children of the column is a list of widgets. We're just going to use the text widgets initially. Also, when you're laying out the widgets and you make the class, make sure you spell screen correctly. In my example right now, I've misspelled home screen, so I'm going to correct that a bit later in the video. Go back to the main.dart file and replace the scaffold there with the new widget that you created, which is called home screen. Spell it correctly. In the main.dart file, you'll need to import the class if it's not already imported for you. By default, the column will scrunch all the widgets as close together as possible. So to create more spacing between the top and the bottom widgets, we're going to use the expanded widget. And within the expanded widget, there is something called flex. Flex is just a ratio between the widgets that are within this expanded field. So if you set the flex to 2 in both of them, the top and the bottom will be equally spaced out. Restart the application and make sure that the top and the bottom have equal spacing. Congratulations, you've just learned how to control the spacing within a Flutter column. We're next going to show you how to make the bottom portion of the column scrollable. For this, we're going to use a SingleChildScrollView and wrap that within a container. The double infinity width of the container just tells it to take up the full width of the screen. Let's put some sample text in to make sure that the SingleChildScrollView within the container can scroll up and down. This will be our response window. Congratulations on getting this far and your success in learning Flutter. Let's recap what you've mastered. First thing is you learned how to use the expanded widget within a column to control the spacing of the top and bottom portions of the column. Within the expanded widget, there is a flex parameter, and that you can place a number after that to control the spacing allocated to each expanded widget. It's a ratio. So 1 to 1 is the same as 2 to 2 or 3:3. It's just a ratio. You can also scroll the bottom portion of the widget. To scroll a widget, you can wrap it in a SingleChildScrollView. Around the SingleChildScrollView, you do need to put a container. If the container is within the column, we made the container width double infinity. This makes the container take the full space of the width of the screen. To recap what we learned in the previous video is that our simple application only has two portions. It's the top portion that you've created. We just need to create the button, and the bottom portion, which is the status window. We need to create the widgets that go into the bottom portion and connect the top portion to the bottom portion with provider. We're going to learn all this in the future videos. This is your future learning roadmap. We focus on some of the GUI components. The primary things that we focused on was the home screen. We also have a few different sections for the response window. We're going to create a button and then work on the other components of our application, which includes the network in order to download the images from the network. Also, local storage. We're creating a Windows desktop application. We're going to download the images into the pictures folder automatically within Windows. In order to connect the different parts of the widgets, the screens, the buttons, what's going on with the network, we're going to use a notifier from the provider package. All the videos for this tutorial series will be placed on a playlist and be made freely available to you. Suggest you subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications of the upcoming videos that we are producing right now. The videos also come with a GitHub repository, again for free. Just download it, modify the code. That will take you to the completed application. If you like this type of video, be sure to give it a like. We use the feedback to decide what type of content to produce in the future. Thanks to the sponsor Rico for helping us to produce these videos for the developer community. Also, you do not need a camera to complete this video tutorial. We've specifically designed it so that you can use pictures freely from the internet on Lorem Pixum or another HTTP image server. If you do have the camera, the code is isolated so that you can easily pull the URLs from the camera and display the 360 images on your application. Either way, you'll be able to complete the tutorial with or without the camera. Subscribe to the channel and have an awesome day.